Welcome to another OUinsider.com post-practice blitz. Parker Thune, Brandon Drum here with you on a Tuesday morning, just before we're set to hear from head coach Brent Venables in his weekly press conference. But last night we did get the chance to speak with several members of the Sooners roster, including the QB1 this week in Michael Hawkins, who will make his first start of 2025 in relief of an injured John Mateer, who is recovering, of course, from the most ballyhooed thumb surgery, perhaps in the history of thumb surgeries. Dr. Stephen Shin has become an internet legend in the last week, and his name is everywhere, especially in the OU football realm. But even across the college football landscape, Dr. Stephen Shin has become iconic. That aside, it is Michael Hawkins' show this weekend against Kent State. He's going to run the offense. You would expect that he's going to take the majority, if not all, of the snaps. You may see some Whit Neubauer in garbage time, but this is Michael Hawkins' first opportunity in 2025 to demonstrate to the fan base and the world, Brandon, that he is a different guy than he was in 2024. And to his credit, he was all right in 2024. Let's not take anything away from what he was able to accomplish as a true freshman. Were there some peaks and valleys? Absolutely. But you look at his most recent start against Navy in the Armed Forces Bowl, 28 of 43, 257 yards, 2 touchdowns through the air, no turnovers, a sparkling final act in his true freshman season. And now it's been 9 months, actually over 9 months, since that day in Fort Worth, Texas. And by all accounts, Hawkins has grown and improved a lot under the tutelage of Ben Arbuckle and his right-hand man, Coach Coos.
We yesterday during the post-practice, interviews, he also seemed more confident there. And some reporters trying to trip him up, trying to get him to say some things here or there, which is that's common, right? When you get the first access to a kid that you haven't had in a while, you deep dive into things, particularly if there's some controversy that could be thrown their direction and into this direction. Um, you can tell he's more mature, more seasoned. He was already a very mature kid, but he he looks and feels ready for this now. Like it doesn't feel like it's an overwhelming thing, and the way that he answered the questions to me felt like a kid that not just is maturing as an adult as you age, but also as a leader, as a football player, because one of the questions was, you know, do you feel like you have to prove something? And he said, I'm just out there to play ball. And I thought that was interesting because what happened last year, your human reaction, Parker, is to prove everybody that that wasn't who you are. And for him to say, I'm just there to play ball, I'm there to throw passes, I'm there to be a leader, those type of things. Um, I like OU's odds with him at the helm. And
Well,
I
I
know
think
those are just words, but
I, I think he also
I love it.
understands circumstantially things are very different than they were a year ago, right? Like when he took over last year, he took over as the permanent starter. It
Yep.
was not until the South Carolina game when he committed those 3 turnovers in the first quarter that the Sooners turned back to Jackson Arnold. When he came in against Tennessee, it was full steam ahead with Michael Hawkins. And obviously, here in 2025, we don't know when John Mateer is going to return to action. It could be as soon as the Texas game.
Hmm.
It could theoretically be as late as the Ole Miss game, although I don't think it's going to be. But uh, Michael Hawkins has a small window here, a window in which he is the guy, he is QB1, he is the starter before he turns things back over to Mateer. That's not in question. That's going to happen. And so I think more so he he understands that he can't put any bulletin board material up there to make it seem like there is controversy or animosity between the quarterbacks because there's not. Uh,
No.
there's a very healthy dynamic in that room between Hawkins and Mateer. Hawkins gave it up to Mateer yesterday in that post practice session where he said he's been an awesome mentor and pointed out, he's operated in this offense for multiple years. He knows the ins and outs, and he can offer helpful insight to a guy like Hawkins that obviously has starting experience, but
Hmm.
is still getting fully acquainted with all of the demands and all of the nuances of a new offensive system. So we're going to get to see just how well he grasps that system this week against Kent State. It's an exciting time for Michael Hawkins. It's an exciting time for Oklahoma to see and for the fan base to see what they have in their backup quarterback, because you look at a team like Ole Miss, there hasn't really been a drop off from Austin Simmons to Trinidad Chambliss. And
Love
regardless
that
of
last name.
regardless of how quickly and regardless of how effectively John Mateer's thumb heals, I think it's going to make every Oklahoma fan feel a lot better about their team's outlook the rest of the way if Michael Hawkins comes out this weekend and balls.
Yes.
Because with the way that John Mateer plays football, you have to understand, man, he's going to take some shots, he's going to take some licks, and you got to have a QB2 that's ready to step in at a moment's notice and can keep the train on the tracks. I think Oklahoma has that in Michael Hawkins, and he'll get the chance to demonstrate that this weekend and perhaps the weekend after if he is forced to make his second straight start in the Cotton Bowl in the
Did
event that Mateer is not ready.
did you see the photo from with Mateer at church and no
Yes.
cast, no nothing, just a band-aid?
Yeah.
That has to be like if you are an OU fan or anybody, you have to look at that and go, hmm, that's interesting.
I I don't know if that means as much as everybody's making it out to mean.
And maybe it
I mean,
doesn't,
it's
but I mean, you have to look. I mean,
a
that
guy
that
of
would be their reaction, right?
oh yeah, a guy of Steven Shin's expertise. That's going to be a minimally invasive surgery. I mean,
Very true.
it's probably only going to be a couple of days before you need just a Band-Aid. So that it wasn't that surprising for me to see Mateer's hand with just a Band-Aid on it. I don't think that means he's back any sooner or any later. Um, that's just it's kind of what you expect. Now, this weekend for Oklahoma, they also get back Giovanni Gibson and Eli Bowen, two guys that have yet to
Mhm.
make their season debuts. Gibson has yet to make his debut as a Sooner. Obviously, Bowen was a freshman All-American last year at cornerback for Oklahoma. But one of the things that similarly will leave Oklahoma fans feeling enormously encouraged about the outlook for their football team and especially their offense is if Giovanni Gibson hits the field this weekend and makes plays right away.
Yes, he was the star of stars with the wide receiver room this offseason. Everybody, that's wide receiver number one. That's wide receiver number one. It would be a very smart move to make sure that is proven against Kent State. And look, I think there's going to be some reservation with him personally, with how he moves, going up for jump balls and stuff. Like you can't come back and feel like everything's going to be just, you can trust everything 100%. I don't think that's ever the case with any injury. But I think as the game goes along, as he continues to get more reps and as he gets every play that he gets further and further away from that injury, the more confident he's going to get. And so I think that's kind of the goal is get as many reps as you can with Kent State to where he's ready to go out there against Texas and do what you expect Giovanni Gibson to do.
How much do you expect to see Jaden Ott this weekend?
If you don't see him at all,
I think you can close the book on the Jaden Ott experiment at that point.
yeah, I think
I
that's
mean,
the
this
fact.
this has to be the
Yeah.
game, right? And we've talked about it. This has to be the game where Jaden Ott totes the rock a lot and shows you something. If he doesn't, you pretty much just have to operate under the assumption going forward that Jaden Ott is not going to be a significant contributor out of the
Or be
Oklahoma
a
backfield.
sooner
Oh,
after that.
you said it, not me. Um,
I mean, but come on. We live in the transfer portal. We can't like just
no,
fake
no,
and
it's
pretend like,
it's real. It's
yeah.
real. No question about it. Now, last thing, how much do you worry about rat poison with this team? They have a perfect opportunity to look past an opponent this week, and
Mm-hmm.
I, could you look past Kent State and still beat them handily? Absolutely. But as we look forward to Texas week coming up, this is the number 5
Mm-hmm.
team in the nation right now. They may jump up another spot between now and then. They may sink a spot between now and then. Regardless, you're going to be looking at one of the highest ranked teams in the country going into the Cotton Bowl. What do you think of that dynamic overall? What do you think of this team's ability to go and execute the way that such a highly ranked team should execute the following week, regardless of who the starting quarterback is?
So if you want to make sure rat poison doesn't happen, all you have to do is pull up and press play in the team meeting room, Joel Klatt's top 10 teams. Show him the previous week where he says, without John or with or without John Mateer, this defense makes Oklahoma a top 10 team. He had him at 8. OU's on a bye week. Texas was ranked 10th on his little thing. And without even playing, Texas moves to 5 and Oklahoma moves out of the top 10. And he called, if I'm remembering correctly, OU a pretender at one point during the seasons as well. So just give a Joel Klatt compilation, and I think everything will be all right. And I say that in jest, completely in jest. I'm not being serious at all. This leadership on this team, I don't think John Mateer is going to allow it. Number one, I don't think the leaders on the defense are going to allow it. There were reporters trying to ask about Texas, Parker, last night, and they had nothing to do with it. They're like, no, it's Kent State. That's our sole focus right now. That's who we're working on. That's who we have to play on Saturday. You can ask about Texas next week.
Yep. And honestly, Brandon, I think we'll be able to gauge from this weekend in so many ways where this team's collective mindset is heading into Texas, because not only do you have to take care of business against an opponent that is a doormat, there's no two ways around it, but obviously you're adjusting in real time to a transition at the quarterback position. And Mike Hawkins has taken a lot of first team reps. It's not new to anybody in that offense. I don't know that it feels terribly different than how it has felt on the practice field over the last several months, but especially knowing that you got your second string quarterback leading into battle this weekend. I think Oklahoma as a team, for better or worse, is going to show us a lot about who they really are, just from a mentality standpoint this weekend as they get ready for this 3 p.m. home tilt against Kent State. We will continue to keep you covered and keep you apprised of all relevant details surrounding John Mateer's recovery, preparation for this Kent State game, obviously recruiting, and so much more over at OUinsider.com. If you're not subscribed over there, give it a try. It's just $1 for your first week. You don't like it, you don't have to stick around, but we think you'll like it. So with that, folks, if you haven't subscribed to this YouTube channel, certainly do that. That doesn't cost you a dime. Just a real easy way to keep up with all of the video content that we're cranking out here on this channel. And folks, we will see you next week with another post-practice blitz. Take it easy.